Hey guys, welcome to our second video for Algebra 2. This is for your applied learning days. Alright, so this is going to be a pretty quick video. We're just going to do some notes, set up your notebook a little bit more. Remember, at any time in this video, you can pause it to write down your notes. That's what this is for. It's supposed to be quick for a short video, but you're going to be writing a lot down. Okay, so in this video, we're going to update our table of contents. I'll give you some notes for page 5 and page 7. And you're going to get your, your second assignment. All right, so here's what your table of contents should look like. So go ahead and copy this bad boy down, pause it. All right, so on page 5, we're going to start putting some notes in. So you're going to want to pause this video and start writing this down. If you don't have graph paper, guys, just draw neatly. But if you're hand drawing these graphs, take your time. Don't just make them all sketchy because then you can't read them. So what's happening here is this vertical line test. If you have a picture of a graph, you can draw a vertical line at any time. If it hits more than once, it is not a function. So circles are not that special thing called the function. This parabola is. So if you could ever draw a vertical line and it hits the graph more than one time, it does not pass the vertical line test. So we want it, functions all look like this guy over here. That's what a function looks like. The circle is not, because you can see it hits once and it hits twice. All right, so the x is considered the independent variable. The y is considered the dependent. In other words, we plug a number in for x, your y depends. Its answer is going to depend on what your x is. All right, so here goes some work on it. So this is the function notation, if you remember from the other day. That's f of x. And so the right side of the equal sign is what we're actually going to do. So you're going to take this 4, and it's going to plug into each of those x's. So you can see right here, there's a 4 inside the x, there's a 4 inside the x, and you just simplify it. You can use your Desmos calculator or do it in your head, it doesn't matter. The second problem down here, you're plugging a 6. See how the 6 is inside parentheses? So the 6 is going to go into that x position. So you can see underneath 6 minus 2 instead of x minus 2. That gives you radical 4. Square root of 4 is 2. Now, the third one is the one that not everybody, but a lot of people mess up. Look at how this one is written differently. Do we see how the x is still in the parentheses? So in this case, we've been given the y value. We've been given the output. So that number actually goes, the whole g of x equals 8. So it goes over here on the left side of the equal sign. Now, in order to solve this, we have to square both sides. So what happened was we put a parentheses around and we squared it. And 8 squared is 64, and the squared and the radical actually cancel each other. And then if you add 2 to both sides, you'll get x equals 66. So that's a lot. We can talk about this stuff. Like if you get questions, you can come in whenever we're doing our Zoom meetings and you can ask for clarity. That's fine. Not a big deal. We're going to do lots of those things throughout the year, so you'll get better with them. All right, on page 7 is another set of notes. So what's going to happen, guys, is we're going to be topping on some notes to you guys during this time frame. That's what these applied learning days are, is really about getting notes down. And this is the quadratic equation, probably the single most important equation that we use in upper levels of mathematics and algebra. We use this all the time. So you can see here that a normal quadratic equation has an x squared, an x, and then a c. So the a, b, and c are the numbers in front. The a is a number in front of the x squared, b is a number in front of the x, and the c is a number that doesn't have a variable. So we can do things by factoring. If you guys remember the box and diamonds, so x squared minus 3x minus 10, that becomes x minus 5, x plus 2. So negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. And if you add negative 5 and 2 together, you get the middle number, negative 3. We can then take each of those parentheses and set them equal to 0. And that's going to actually solve the quadratic for us. So 0 equals x minus 5. If you add 5 to both sides, you get positive 5. 0 equals x plus 2. Subtract 2 from both sides, and you get negative 2. See, but a lot of people do not like factoring. If you know how to factor well, it's a nice, quick way to get through some problems. But a lot of people just really struggle with it, which makes sense. And factoring doesn't always work. Like sometimes the numbers just don't jive. But there is a 100% way to make this baby work, and it is the quadratic formula. And I can tell you, although I was good at factoring, I still use the quadratic formula more than factoring, just because you start using it so much that you become pretty good at it. It becomes fast. And the calculator makes it go quickly. So here's the formula, and man, it's ugly. You know, that is not a pretty formula. But we learned the steps of how to get through it, and it actually goes pretty smooth as long as you don't try to do everything at one time. So on the problem we see above here, the x squared minus 3x minus 10, the number in front of the x squared is your a. So a equals 1. The number in front of the regular x is a negative 3. So b equals negative 3. And the number that doesn't have a letter is your c, and that's a negative 10. So those are the letters that you would plug into there. And that's what we're going to start solving here coming up next. All right, so this is the actual problem. I've already kind of preset you up for what the a, b, and c were. You can see the positive 1, negative 3, negative 10 here. And the numbers have been placed in. So the formula says negative b. And we're plugging a negative 3 into there. So it's the negative of negative 3. You got your plus minus symbol, square root. Then you got negative 3 to the second power, minus 4 times 1 times negative 10. Now, what I do, guys, is I go into my calculator, and I will do, and I'm going to, let me see. I'm circling it now. The part that's underneath the square root, I type that all into the Desmos calculator. Exactly the way it's written. Negative 3 in parentheses with the squared on it. Minus 4 parentheses 1 parentheses negative 10. And that will give you 49. Most of the time when we do these, you're going to get something like square root of 49, square root of 25, where you can do it in your head. So the square root of 49 is 7. So that's where it comes to this. It's 3 plus or minus 7 over 2. What was happening here, guys, that plus and minus, it means you've got two problems. You're adding 7 to the 3. You're also subtracting 7 from the 3. But in math, we just find a nice little shortcut way to write it instead of making it big and long. So it's really two problems. So you can see the two arrows here. And each of those arrows has given you the two problems. You're going to do 3 plus 7, which is 10. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Divided by 2 is negative 2. Those are the exact same answers that we had when we factored. This is more work. But this is what I'm going to emphasize for you guys for this year, because it becomes quick when you use a calculator, and it always works. It is your job, though, to start memorizing this to the best of your ability. You'll have your notes, so you're always going to have it written down for this year. You know, it's going to be like it's right here in your notes right now, so you always have access to it. You can always look it up, not a big deal. But it's one of those things that, especially if you're going to continue your schooling, you're going to be using this a lot, and you just kind of want it in the back of your head. All right, don't forget to make a little summary on both your little pages. And all we're asking for with the summary is you just use a couple sentences, and you just kind of say, hey, what did I do up on this piece? So you might say, hey, look, for a quadratic formula, I know that the a, b, and c come from the numbers in front of the x squared, the x, and the number without a piece. I know that it helps me find the zeros, or solves the quadratic formula. so I get answers at the end. You know, you just write up little pieces on it just to kind of describe what you learned. Sorry about that. That's pretty much the end of this video. So we're going to have, there's 2 assignments. There's going to be a worksheet that is up on your assignments page. It's all you're doing is just, you're either given the input, so you plug it into the problem to get your answer out, or you're going to be given the output, so you got to put it on the other side of the equal sign. And that's what we're looking to see if you pay attention to whether you're doing inputs or outputs. And then there are a couple problems in the book, and none of these are like super in depth right now. We're just trying to get you practicing. We've got to have you in the mode of where you're starting to try to do some work. If we don't get you doing some things now, then it's going to be really difficult as we're moving in the year. So we just got to get that routine going. All right, guys, that's it for this go. Come into the Zoom meetings. My office hours now. I forgot to write that in this slide. I'll write it on here now. I finally got my official office hours. Monday, 1 to 2 p.m. And then, of course, after school. So we're looking at 3:30 to 4 p.m. Sometimes that 30 minutes, I might get, I might not be available, but most of the time I'll be there. But I'm there for all my classes, so you're gonna need to, email so you can get a code to get into a Zoom or whatnot. We'll figure it out. Send me an email, I'll be waiting. Hey guys, take care. Have a good day and be safe.